Hello and welcome back. Today is a good day because I don't have to do much work. My father-in-law and brother-in-law are here and they're going to be putting down the spray foam on the foundation where the slab is going to go. So in this video, we'll be getting ready and pouring the slabs. It's going to be 2 pours for a foundation for the main house and for the porch. And it's all going to be spray foam. There's going to be tubing for radiant in-floor heat throughout, just in case we want to close in the front porch. And it all starts with the spray foam rig. They have a channel, Kyle and Sons Spray Foam and Insulation. I'll leave a link for it right up here. You can go ahead and click if you want to see more satisfying videos of spray foam insulation being installed. They've got a bunch of technical information on there too. As we go through the video, I'll give you the reasons for why we're doing the spray foam, other than it's my father-in-law and brother-in-law and I'm going to support them. There's good reasons for it otherwise. So maybe when this thing shut down, we can do a quick little tour of the rig and then yeah, giddy up from there. Hey folks, it's Barret here. I just wanted to take a minute to introduce my father-in-law and brother-in-law. This is their spray foam rig. There's their information if you wanted to get in touch with them, and I wanted to go over a few things as to why we're choosing spray foam at this step. First off, being that we have family that sprays foam, we're going to support them. We're very fortunate to have that ability. In addition to that, the reasons why it's worth spending money is we're going to be doing radiant in-floor heat. So this will insulate underneath of the slab and make sure that the heat goes where we want it to inside the house, and combined with the ICF foam walls, this is going to be super efficient. Also, it's going to be a vapor barrier. So this will help make sure that no vapor comes from the dirt underneath into the concrete and into the house. So this will just help keep everything nice and dry. I'm going to take a minute here to go ahead and give you a tour of the spray foam rig itself. So we follow the hose into the trailer and you'll see 2 resin barrels, one on either side. Right? It's an A side and a B side, much like any other resin. So you're going to mix those in certain proportions. This is a 1-to-1 mix, so those are the pumps, and they just do pump stroke for pump stroke. Those go into this contraption, which is known as a reactor, the reactor H30 there. It heats up the foam, or heats up the equal parts, and then equally portions that through the hose out to the gun, and in the gun is where the epoxy is mixed and then sprayed out into. So as soon as it mixes the A and B side, then it expands and that becomes a spray foam that you see there as they're spraying it. That whole setup inside of the rig is powered by this genset and air compressor. So this is about a 40 kilowatt generator with 40 SCFM air compressor powered by somewhere around an 80 horsepower diesel engine. And that supplies air for their gun, air for their breathing, air when they got to be all hooded up, and it provides all of the power necessary to run air conditioning, power, the reactor to heat everything up, the pumps, all that stuff. Actually, the pumps run off of air. So this is a pretty impressive setup. They can go out into a job site as it is here with no power and have no issues spraying foam. There's a nice little shot of the spray gun itself. The lines come in, spray, and my brother-in-law Logan, all suited up, ready to go. So what you see him doing here is spraying what they call a flash coat. So they're just going to spray this down. It's going to seal up any moisture that's currently in the ground and make a nice adhesive barrier for the final 2-inch spray coat once they get there. So here they're beginning to lay down the 2-inch final coat of spray foam, so much slower pace, and Logan makes this look so easy. It is not this easy. But he lays it down nice and uniform, and then you just watch it rise, and this is, you could just watch this all day. This is so good. So you can go ahead and enjoy the visual loveliness of this. So when they're all done spray foaming or spraying the foam, got about 1 to 2 hours before we could walk on this. So technically we could have pretty much immediately gotten out on the spray foam and started installing the radiant in-floor heat. We just covered this up and let it dry a little bit and got back to the radiant in-floor heat a little bit later. So we were closer to the concrete. I'll do a nice little flyaway here for some perspective. Now for the installation of the radiant in-floor heat. What we've installed here in the end will be 3 runs of approximately 250 foot loops. So 3 250 foot loops spaced 12 inches apart with 1/2 inch PEX tubing. The way that I planned this out was I just made a scale drawing in Excel, and then I laid it all out and measured to make sure that I had approximately equal runs, equal distance apart, and then we just followed the drawing when laying out the tubing. Pretty simple. The mesh that's on the ground, each square is about 6 by 6, so we just had to be 2 squares apart, and we just ran and tied them down with rebar ties to the mesh. And overall, the only regrets I had setting this up was I should have gone through ahead of time and used spray paint to just mark out the corners, and that would have helped us move along much easier in this whole process. But it was relatively headache free, and the tubing installed, looking good. We're ready for concrete at this point. Today is the day for the first round of concrete. We'll be getting the main slab poured, and I've got a gentleman here by the name of Ron Bond. I'll put a link to his channel up here. I actually watched a lot of his videos to figure out how to do the Nudura wall system, so he's kind of the expert in this stuff, and I learned a lot from his videos, and he's here doing the concrete just because he's got a lot of people, and I did all the work up to this point, and he's gonna put it down for me. And I'm gonna record that. He's gonna be recording. We're all gonna be recording. It's gonna be one big recording festival. But I hope you enjoy watching this, and go give Ron's channel a check. He's making this cool, like, shepherd's roof hunting camper thing right now that's pretty interesting. Bent lamination roof posts and roof trusses and everything else. So go give him a check and enjoy this part of the video. See him?
Hey, little bear.
See, great.
Big truck coming. Get up there.
Wow, you guys, do you see it?
As you can see here, the kiddos are nice and excited for concrete, as are we. So what we've got here is approximately 10 yards of concrete for the main slab with fiber mesh and it's going through the truck onto a 50-foot conveyor belt, and this thing is so cool. The concrete comes out of the truck, slides down a chute, lands on this conveyor, and then that conveyor just sends it flying out to wherever you need it. And the gentleman there is controlling how far out the conveyor is, right or left, and then the concrete team out here is just using this chute to put the concrete where they want it. Ron Bond has a video of this main slab pour. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well, so you can get his perspective of pouring the concrete. He's been doing this on and off since he was 14 years old. He just retired from the nuclear power plant next to me, so he's been at it for quite some time. And now he does this concrete full time. I learned a lot watching Bondo and his crew. I've never done a big pour like this, but was able to learn a lot from watching him. So they do large areas, pour it out, and then they will kind of pull it around with those rakes until they get, roughly the thickness. And we're doing a 4-inch thick slab here, folks. And he's gonna screed it off after they get it kind of leveled out with the rake. So that's a 16-foot aluminum screed that they're working with there. And that's just gonna get the initial leveling. So they go around, they use their magnesium floats on the corners, and then they screed. After they screed level on the concrete, they do this bowl float here. And this will begin the process of pushing larger aggregate down into the concrete and bring up what they call fat. So it's this finer stuff in the Portland cement that brings it up to the surface, and that's what gives the smooth finish on the top, or at least that's the first step. And what Bondo is doing here is called a wet pad. So they'll use their level, they'll dig down until they get this one spot to the height that they need. He'll mark it with an X here with his trowel, and then they'll just bring everything down to that level. And it works phenomenally well. This pad is perfectly flat. There is no puddling at all. And this is all that they did, was just made several wet pads and then user screed rail to the wet pad. And another overhead shot here for some more perspective. And this here is probably one of the more important jobs on this concrete setup, I would say. The Big Biscuit there, his son, is pulling or pushing the concrete there for the folks that are doing the screed work to make sure that there's no low or high spots, right? So it really makes their job easy, and if that person is doing their job right, it looks effortless. So hats off to Big Biscuit and his work there. And here they're just wrapping up what will become our entryway when the house is all completed. I'll go ahead and screed this off nice and easy because it's a 10-foot wide section, so they'll just use their 16-foot rail there, finish it off. All told, for this main slab, I paid about $1,400 in concrete, and I paid Ron and his crew $1,000 for their time. So really not bad, considering this was all done in probably less than an hour to get to this point. And then Bondo sat here waiting for the concrete to dry, and then he could use his power trowel. And he was probably here for another 4 or 5 hours. He'd do a power trowel, and then he would clean some stuff up, and then he'd go sit down and he would wait. Probably editing the video that he was making for this while he was sitting in there. He's not one to just sit around and waste time. Very efficient person. And we're not going for like a super smooth or glassy finish because we're going to be putting floor down over the top of this, so we want a little bit of texture here. So he's going to hit this probably 2 or 3 times. And I did not record Bondo pouring the slab here. This is the porch, but he's got a video of doing the stampcrete. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave that link down in the description. A couple days later, I came out with some water and some Dawn dish soap. I washed off the excess release agent, which was all the charcoal dark color stuff, to leave this really cool natural rock looking texture. And after I washed this off, I came back about 2 weeks later with a sealer product made by Stampcrete, I was able to do 2 coats of this, put on there, and this is supposed to last forever. You're supposed to be able to drive on this, and man, does it look awesome. Well, y'all, it's been about a month since I put sealer on the front porch here, and as you can see, we've been putting it to good use. We have got our camper out here, and for about the last 3 weeks we've been just kind of living here. We have the water tank full. We've been using the water pump and the electricity that we got installed out here at the slab as well, for just kind of being able to have a place of our own to get out of Grammy and Papa's hair for a little bit. And we intend to just live here for at least the summer, if we're not able to get the house like up into a point where we can move into it before the end of the year. We're gonna have septic here soon. It's gonna go back to the leach field here. We're gonna have water in a couple of weeks. And at that point, we'll be able to live here very comfortably. You can see also, I've got this tent. This is a fantastic addition. This is gonna be like my timber frame workshop. So I do have in here, I'll turn you around. I do have the stuff for my sawhorses here. I should be able to finish those up here before too long. I have a bunch of my timber framing tools. I've got big saw, chain mortiser, miter saw. I've got a toolbox with a bunch of my chisels. I'm going to put my Tormek sharpening system over here. I got some more sharpening to do on those. I've got my restored beam borer over here. And right now it's kind of cluttered because I'm doing some work in here because it was raining. But once I get these assembled, they can sit outside. That table's going to go back outside and finish doing some rearranging and cleanup here again. And yeah, this is going to be a fantastic spot. I've got all this concrete out here. So when it's not raining and the weather's nice, I'll be able to set up out here and do all of my joinery. The timbers are going to get staged out there. It's nice and shaded, but still get some breeze, so that's going to be ideal back there. Nice little travel path right there. So I'll just grab the timbers from there, put them here, do the joinery, and then take them back out there until they're ready to be put together. So yeah, gonna get back into this sawmill here soon. I got a bunch of trees back here behind me to cut down. I need the timbers for 1, 2, we want the space. We want to have that for a front yard, so that's going to be, I think I mentioned that in the last video, that's going to be the next priority, is getting all that cleared out. And then I can get onto the sawmill, and then I can get to joinery. The goal is to have the house at least dried in, if not have like all the windows and doors and everything installed and starting to complete the inside before probably before November, because then we can work in here through the winter, and we would like to move in like next spring. That'll give all the timbers about well, it'll give the timbers 1 full year or more to dry before we put any artificial heat in there, and that'll help with a lot of the checking and cracking in the timbers, because they're going to be super green. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed watching the video, watching the process. I thoroughly enjoyed being a part of it. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. And I just really appreciate that you're following along on our journey. We had a massive jump when Ron Bond shared from his group. So for everybody that came over from Ron Bond's channel and stuck around, I really appreciate having you along. Hope I live up to your expectations. And yeah, we're gonna get back to work, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.